Yeah,
I know it's a little.
There's so many different platforms now. Okay, so good. Everyone knows at least 2 people. Good. I'm just really big on networking. I always think it's so important to network with people who we're all in this business together. So I think it's good. Shh, you met your 2 people. Okay, so what I'd like everyone to do is, I think it's also good for everyone to kind of get to know who everyone is. So since it's a small group, if you could just take like less than a minute and just kind of introduce yourself, just say who you are, what you do, maybe why you came to this, or whatever kind of floats your boat is good. I'll start. I'm Angela Marie Hutchinson. I'm the founder of Brick in Hollywood, which is the organization putting on this event. We do all kinds of events for writers, actors, producers. Mainly, we do a lot of Q&As. If you're on our email list, we do a lot of Q&As with power players. So for like agents, managers. Our last one was an executive from Disney. So we always do. Oh, sorry. Let me lower that volume. We usually do Q&As with industry professionals, but we started to recently do how-to events because we felt that there was sort of a gap between all of the attendees that are coming, hearing these great speakers, and not really knowing how to make the connection, not literally make the connection, I guess, but sort of develop the relationship and make sure you have the right materials and things needed to really make that content work for your life in a financial way or some beneficial way that can elevate your career. So that's sort of like a missing thing. So that's the purpose of our how-tos. I'm not sure how long we're going to continue to do them, but we said we're going to at least do it through the end of the summer, and we'll see kind of moving forward if we'll continue these. Because I also think it's important to meet industry professionals because that's how you get to the next step. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. I started the organization in 2005. I've been doing it ever since. In addition to that, I'm a mom. I've been married for about, 15 years, got 3 little kids, and I write, produce. The only thing I pretty much don't do is act. And I'm really excited because I got my very first book deal. I'm a self-published author, but I had my very first traditional book deal that I got from doing a TED Talk. So that is just like my dream to get a book deal. So I'm really excited about that. It's called Create Your Yes When You Keep Hearing No, which we all can relate to. Lots of rejection in this business. So anyway, so that's me. We'll start here and just kind of go. Yeah.
Sure. I'm Grace Braga. I'm mainly a stand-up comedian, but I'm also a writer. I have a bunch of projects with Barney Cohen, who is the creator of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and we're trying to pitch them. And I also have some other projects with Madeline, actually.
Oh,
I have
cool.
one, yeah. And we're looking for funding, so that's why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
And I produce for PBS. And I mainly do stand-up. That's my passion, really. So that's it.
Cool.
I'm Shilpa Mankekar. I'm a writer, director, producer, and I've directed at the ABC Disney Showcase and with some YouTube stars, branded content. And then I shot a family comedy pilot that won 7 international awards. So I've been here since March, trying to turn it into brand affiliated content or sell it as a pilot and shopping it around, basically, yeah.
Cool.
I'm Milly Rosales. I'm mainly a producer. Right now I work with Sony PlayStation as a producer on the marketing side. But I also have my own production company with my husband, who's a cinematographer, and we are trying to do more shorts, and we're also working on a documentary. So this is a very good place to
Glad.
Hi everyone, I'm Tanisha Campbell. I am an actress, a writer. I am a mom, I'm a wife. We just moved from Texas in July, so we now live in LA. I just want to be able to create content because my kids are in the business as well. And so it's very important for them to know how to create those things that they want to do too, and not just also, wait for somebody to write it for them. So
Cool.
yeah.
I'm Joe Grant. I'm a music supervisor. I also own a music library. I help place music in television and films, and I'm also producing music documentaries.
Okay.
And I'm Joel Kellum. I'm a music attorney and work with lots of clients who have films that aren't quite done yet. So I really want to help a lot of these people finish their films.
Okay, cool.
I'm Kent Falcon. I'm an actor, writer, director. Actually, my buddy who I guess belongs to the series, I directed a pilot and 2 episodes of a multi-camera series that he was producing, and I got another pilot that we're half done, and I'm getting ready to direct another science fiction short at the end of the month. And I saw the topic. He said, "I can't make it." I'm like, "Hey, I can make it."
That's very for you.
Exactly. So yeah.
Glad to have you.
My name is Scott Hepburn, and I have a nonprofit, and I'm just looking at different ways of funding. Currently, it's how to connect people with based on their needs to the different agencies like Medi-Cal, EDD, veterans, other nonprofits, all under one consolidated place. And that's what we're doing. So we're looking at different ways of funding.
Okay, cool.
Hi, my name is Sandra Lee. I recently quit my job as a tournament facilitator. Hated it. I love golf.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Feels liberating.
Aww.
So then I joined up with my buddy over here, childhood friend, and he started his nonprofit, and I have my MBA, so I was like, hey, I'd rather focus something that I'm passionate in, that I believe in, and something that I can just dedicate all my, my powers to. So here I am trying to get information on how to do funding, and
cool.
Breaking into Hollywood is not a bad idea.
Cool.
Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Keith Newton. I am primarily, I moved to Hollywood here to break into television and film as a writer and a producer of content, and I'm here not only looking about funding, but also looking for anybody who's interested in partnerships in terms of moving your stuff along. If there's any way that I can help you and we can help each other as we try to move forward in our careers, in terms of we need something for writing or development, please, let's connect, let's meet up. Interestingly enough, I forgot, since you mentioned publishing, I actually did just have my first book published last week. A book on jazz improvisation. So, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So, okay, now I'm done with my brag. Please, everybody wants to connect. Let's chat.
I'm Keith Shaw. I've been in the business as a first about 24 years. I just started producing and directing about 8 years ago. I started a company called That's Not Productions with a good buddy of mine. Produced my own film then in 2010. And since that time, we've been trying to get other projects. And we've accumulated probably over 30 projects since then. Because it was called Suicide Dolls, you can look it up. It was a drama about teenage suicide. And every agent told me, said, you guys should do horror movies. So I have about 10 horror movies that I've accumulated since then. And when I saw this, I could make them for under $200,000.
Cool, all right. In the back. Last but not
Perry
least.
Sagliaco, I have my own production company, Cool Wolf Productions, and director, writer. I want to be an executive producer eventually. Been trying for a long time. When there's like Jerry Bruckheimer, when he retires, no more Jerry, there'll be Perry.
I love it. Cool. Well, we're glad to have you. Yvonne, you want to do an intro yourself? Yvonne has been working with me since like forever, a dear friend, and also she also helped me. She was on my producing team and helped me produce my very first feature film as an associate producer, and she has a documentary too that she's working on too. So anyway, thank you. Okay, so our event. The reason why I titled the event. I titled the event how to find funding for 200K and under is not that it doesn't apply to more money necessarily, but I wanted to speak from the heart. I'm speaking from my personal journey, and I have not raised more than $200,000. Not that I could not or not capable of, but I haven't raised more than that. So I thought, I really want to speak from a place from real experience, and that for me was the best way to do it. So I was like, let's kind of focus on on that again. Not that it doesn't apply to more. And so because we have a lot of different people coming from different backgrounds, and I know that I'm going to try to make sure we touch all the areas, from nonprofit to just like regular business to actual industry. Obviously, majority of my experience is industry, so I'm going to speak from that place as well. And what else can I tell you? The reason why I'm doing this particular event is because I just got inspired to do it because I had applied for this grant. Some of you are on our email list, so you know the story, but I had applied for, you can come in if you're, I see somebody, come on in, yeah. But you can check you in. But anyway, okay, so I had applied for this grant with a nonprofit organization, and it was for $20,000 is what the grant was for, and I submitted for it. And then they emailed how many, like after the deadline had ended, they emailed the stats about the organization, how many people had submitted for the grant. And, you know, I was like, okay, you know, I kind of skimmed it, and I was like, wait a minute, is this right? So it was only 40 organizations that had submitted for this grant for $20,000. They gave you a breakdown on how much the operating budgets was for the nonprofits, and it ranged anywhere from the categories were $150,000 or under, which was, I was in that category, and then they had above, there was a middle category, and then $1 million and up, right? Range in terms of, so there was only 2 organizations, me, mine, and whoever else, right, in the $150,000 category, and then everybody else was above that, right? Now, in terms of the requirements, I mean, I'm not going to go through all the breakdown of what it was, but pretty much it was open. You just had to be a nonprofit within the county of Los Angeles. That's pretty wide. There's over, I don't know, 80, 60,000, whatever it is, registered nonprofits in California. So that statistic is pretty sad. I mean, I was like, yay for me. I only got to compete with 39 more organizations, yay. And at least you get the satisfaction that they're probably going to at least look at it. You know what I mean? Even if I don't get it, it's like at least they heard my thoughts out. And so, and even when you do the math, I think it's still like maybe, I don't know, 10%, maybe less than that, of actually getting it. The odds are still difficult because when you're competing with a small, finite group, you know, they're really analyzing every little thing, you know. But anyway, and so when I saw that, I was like, this is just really sad. I mean, you know, I have over 6,000 people on my email list. I mean, like, this is a community in the city of Los Angeles that just has thousands of talented filmmakers, creative people, and nonprofit organizations that deserve to, you know, at least have a chance at getting this money. And I'm thinking, why did people not submit for this? I mean, it wasn't that complicated. It's just like any other, you know, application. It was a process. Maybe it was, I don't know, 10 pages I had to turn in, but it was pretty structured, and it didn't require a whole lot of time because I'm a mom with 3 kids. So if things require too much time, I just don't even bother. It's like, this is too much time right now. So anyway, so that was what motivated me to do it, because I thought this is something, you know, that I want to just give back to others and make sure we know where to find the money. And even if we don't get the money always, we at least need to know where to find it. So that was sort of what, you know, triggered me to want to do this. And then after like all of our events we do, there's always questions on how do you find your investors? What does the business plan look like? All of these, you know, nitty-gritty things that kind of pop up, and I'm like, I could do a whole, you know, 2 hours or more on that. So I'm trying to tailor the discussion for that focus. So anyway, so that's in a nutshell why I'm even doing this event. And let's see, I have a bunch of different things that I'm going to try to show you, all kinds of like interesting things that I will try to show you. So this is just notes from me to remember what I need to talk about. I wonder if I should. Yeah. Okay. So I'll quickly just talk about the traditional, in terms of like the industry. So most of us in here are filmmakers. So most of us are looking for funding for our, you know, documentaries, our features, or whatever. There's the traditional route. I'll spend very little time on this because we all kind of know it, right? In order to, you know, if you have a project and you want to get it funded, the general route is if you're a writer, you get an agent, a literary agent, right? After you get your literary agent, you try to sell your show, try to sell your film, right? If you are maybe a writer-director, the path might be somewhat different for you. And if you're just a producer and you're not necessarily writing, the path is also a little bit different for you. But essentially, if you have a product, a media material, you're trying to either get a producer, sorry, my little beautiful hair. Okay. So if you have a media project, you're either trying to get a producer to take a look at it, right? Who's gonna fund it with his big company, right? Or a network or a studio, you know, all of those variations. And I definitely have a lot of tips and tricks. So if you have any very specific questions along the way, or just like we didn't really cover it, you know, you really have a question about XYZ, I'm sure I've been there, or know someone who has, and definitely have a specific answer. If not, I'm sure I can just give some advice, or maybe somebody else in here, because a lot of you people who are in here are, you know, really solid professionals and have done things and have projects. So you can speak to your own experience too if there's any tips or anything. So this can be very collaborative too. If you hear something and you feel like you can add to it, please feel free. This is not like, you know, no, don't say that. We don't want to share. We want to share. We want information. If there's any organizations or information or resources that you have found useful in your career as, you know, related to the topic, please do feel free to share. So in general, you know, I think the easiest way in terms of the traditional thing is if you're a writer or producer and you're looking to get repped by a literary agent, I personally, again, I'm gonna speak from my personal strategy. I think the best way is to query. I know some people say queries don't work. That's because you're not writing a good one. Oh, you know, I can't find their emails. No, there's just no excuse for that. There's like a zillion ways to find people's email addresses, and I can walk you through that if that's an issue you're having. You don't know where to go to find people, but you can definitely, you know, Google and find people's email addresses. I think the easiest way that I found is for executive email addresses or for agents is identifying who the press contact is. Like if you just Google like email@disney.com or email@warnerbros.com. Some email address will come up from somebody that works there in some capacity, and that is their format for the emails. It gets tricky when people are married and they have, you know, weird names, like, or, you know, they're shortening their name or something like that. I should say weird, but different. You know what I mean? So, but for the most part, you can pretty much get anyone's emails, and there are so many lists out there with agents. And even if you look at, if you just go like actor, if you just put like actor@CAA.com, some people who are repped at CAA or whatever agency you're looking for, Abrams or whatever, will have their agent's contact information on their page, and then you now have at least the format, and then, you know, you have to figure out who you're gonna reach out to, which I think is the second biggest, is sort of like the hardest challenge. So you can be submitting queries, but you're not querying the right kind of agent. So to give you an example, I think when I was first trying to get representation for as an author, I was just sending out queries to I got a list, and I was just sending out queries to people, and really kind of got no response, maybe a little bit. But as I kind of got a little bit smarter, okay, I have to be more strategic about this. I really took the time to research really specific agents, and so I remember, I think one evening I might have, you know, took the time to research, and I got maybe like 6 or 7 agents that were very specific for the kind of material that I wanted to write for a book. Sent them an email, and by the morning, I think all but maybe 2 have replied, like, send me the material. So I was like, oh, okay, it's not that I became a different writer or a better writer, it's just because I targeted those people that were looking for the kind of stuff that I could deliver to them. And I find that pretty much true for most agents, literary, whether it's for screenwriting or books, pretty much across the board. But agents will read your queries, they will. Some won't, but we're not talking about those people. We're talking about the ones that will. The people that will read queries are those who are speaking at conferences and organizations. So if you don't want to go to the Sundances and to the this and that, that's fine, because these things cost a lot of money to keep going to every single thing. Get a list of the speakers, of the speaker list. Focus on speaker lists, and just focus on who is there. And that can be sort of your strategy that you use, because there's so many agents out there, and there's so much information and so many events. You have to figure out a specific strategy for you and kind of just stay in that zone for that particular thing. So speakers, you know, so and you can choose. You can say, I'm going to focus on film festivals. So focus on strictly film festivals. You can focus on, you know, contests. Who are the judges? You know, a lot of times they list the names. You know, you can figure out whose email list you're already on, and kind of structured around that, whether it's like Stage 32, or, you know, there's just tons of networking organizations, Film Independent. There's a lot of organizations out there that they're constantly having speakers, and you can use that, not actually going to the events, but using that as a research tool to be able to find who these agents are. So sending a great query is short and sweet. You know, keep it very, 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 very short. All they really care about is your product that you're trying to sell, your film or your script. Can they sell it? They don't really care how well you can write. They don't care about any of it. Think about how many times we see stuff that's not all that well written. It's not all that. You watch a movie, you're like, oh, my movie would be better than that, right? That happens all day long. So it's not about being the best writer or being the most talented. Talent is never enough in Hollywood. What is important is that tenacity, that grit, that persistence to just keep staying on someone and making sure that what you're creating is matched for what the buyer is looking for. So in terms of traditional routes, that's pretty much, in a nutshell, the traditional route, you know. And again, if something pops up, you're like, oh, but I really have a question as it relates to traditional stuff, feel free, we can dive in and we can kind of go more into detail about any specific thing. But I feel like definitely if you need an agent, query. And focus on making sure your query is really, really good. And you know, if you make sure that, I'm sure if you're on our email list, you get our emails, you can feel free to email me. If you ever have a quick query, you're like, can you just look at this for like a hot second? I will just review it. And if I can't read it on my phone, I'm gonna be like too long. You know what I mean? Like if I can't quickly read and identify, because that's how the agent is. They're at their coffee bean, getting their coffee, and they're reading the query. And they're gonna send back. I mean, I think I emailed, so I used to be repped at ICM on the producing side, and I literally emailed the agent. He responded in, I mean, like not seconds, but like very fast, hour, 2 hour, was like, sure, let's have a phone call. And 2 days later, I was repped. It was just like that. There was no, you know, whole long thing. And that's the other thing is I find I meet a lot of people are like, oh, my script is with so-and-so is reading it, and that's fine and good. And I know things do take a lot of time. But if things are taking that kind of time, it's probably just not going to happen. Again, my personal experience. When things take a lot of time and you're trying to work with someone to get money from them, if it's taking that much time, it's no. The people who have given me, you know, checks, it was like 1 week, 2 week, bam, here it is. You know, I sent them a follow-up. It was no like runaround, right? And so your time is money. And so if you find yourself like it's past the 3 month period, let it go, move on, and come, you know, maybe circle back to them. I'm not saying you have to shut the doors, but they're just not the right person for you in terms of like getting access. So most things you don't, now when it comes to literary agents reading material, sometimes they do take a longer time to read, because with the ICM thing, that happened fast because it was producing. So it was a show I was selling. It was a sizzle, it was a very specific situation. So they weren't reading a script, right? So agents do take a longer time to read material. But again, even with that, past 6 months, people just move on to another agent. They're just not really interested in you at this point in time, and that's fine. You know, you can recircle. But you have to kind of be able to let it go so you can kind of gear up, because the more you think like, oh, I got this in the work and I have these things in the works, you'll feel like a sense of gratification, and you don't want to gratify yourself in that way. You want to gratify realness, like check, agent, whatever it is you're looking for, you want it to be real. And if it's not, just gotta slice it and keep it moving so you can focus on getting the real opportunities that do exist and that are out there. So, okay, so I think that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions as it relates to like, in terms of the traditional route to doing anything? Any questions? Okay, so I'm gonna quickly show you, so the first movie I produced, Hollywood Chaos, that's the SAG feature that I did for under $200,000 with the SAG Indie Ultra Low budget agreement. And I'm just gonna quickly show you the trailer. So it aired on Hulu, and then we got another deal. Right now it's airing on the Urban Movie Channel. So this is the quick trailer, and this is the actual trailer so I produced a trailer, and that actual trailer that I produced is the same one that the distribution company that bought the film used for the DVD and everything, and then it's the same one that, you know, Hulu or anybody else also used the same one that we actually produced. So hopefully this will play. It doesn't sound like their sound. Oh, is there? See how there is. Up on the screen now. Sorry. Can we see? Oh, maybe. That's weird. But you could see that.
I could try to get the tech guy back real quick if you want to talk about something else.
Okay. Is it even moving? If I move this, will it move? Oh,
There's
it
no
won't.
moving.
It's just stuck. Oh, okay. And you can't see
Is it
that
in
either.
full screen mode or slideshow mode? Maybe if you hit the escape key.
Come here, Bruce. I
Right.
don't even know. I mean, it's not even showing.
Oh, okay. So now you can probably. Now there's your.
Probably what?
Now?
Probably do what?
Okay. So
Okay.
you're trying to get which one? This one.
Well,
You're trying to show
it's
the
in the link, and so we're trying to basically show. Where's the PowerPoint? Is this it?
Yeah. This is the part.
This one.
Yeah.
Why does it keep doing that? This one.
Okay. So you click.
So
on it.
here,
Well, click on it.
do I have to be in full
yeah,
screen?
You got to show mode. Yeah. Let's see. That's good.
Maybe we just copy and paste it,
Yeah,
since
that's-
we can see the
yeah,
screen.
Yeah. I think-
See all this fancy stuff. It's not.
Let's go for browser.
Okay, you guys can see that? No, they can't see that. That's weird, right?
Okay.
They can't see anything. Yeah, maybe ask them to tell Hunter.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if you close the PowerPoint?
Sorry, guys.
What kind of computer is this? Mac or Windows?
Windows. Here, let's make sure we stop.
If it was a Mac, it'd be just like.
Right.
In the top 5 for the past 6 years, and you don't think that's good enough for me to be an anchor?
That is not tell you what. Your celebrity lifestyle special tops the rating. Respond.
I was gonna let you take the slides for dinner on Saturday night.
Why don't you catch me in line? Cherry bottom, I'm trying to show that
Can you think to basically why?
the slides that synchronize on that situation has anything.
Oh, they may get to drive me, but they all have a vice.
Slow down on drinking after your last week.
Come on, it doesn't drink too sweet.
Nina, I know about taking. What?
Yeah, but check it out. I know about that too.
Sounds like someone's been reading on too many tabloids.
I don't need tablets, I have these reports.
Most of the time, the guys say personal. They're talking about sex.
Contrary to the man that you've been dating, I want to know about your privilege.
Always been attracted to women. You cannot pretend to be somebody that you're not.
Listen to me, I can't
You ladies can come.
air my session. You are her marriage picture.
Well, it's quite manipulative. It was all fit and package. Just like package. We're finished. Just like that. We're done.
All right, man. Sure to tune in this Sunday for my celebrity lifestyle session. So then, I'm Alexis Burns before you live.
Your Hollywood television network is finished. Is everything.
LV, my boy. He's sitting on the bench, but he cool.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so that film. So let's see. When I first decided I wanted to produce the movie, originally I was trying to produce a movie for like $3 million. Okay, so I'm going to show you what a business plan looked like on what I was trying to do at that time, and I'm going to go through it kind of fast because it's long. It's like unnecessarily, I don't know, 30 pages or something, and then I'm going to show you the actual document. Ooh, I hope I if I did not, yeah, well, I'll email it. Okay, and then I'm going to show you, hopefully I have it, the document, if not I will email it, that I used to actually get the funding, which was much shorter and was not all of the unnecessariness that it takes to get. And so what I find is that, most of the investors that, and if you want water, it's over there, most of the investors that, at least that I interacted with, they don't have a lot of time, so they're not reading 30-page documents that deep. It's just basically, do they trust you? Do they believe you're going to take their money and you're going to actually make a movie? And is there a potential for them to make some money back? They know it may not be. Most investors know it probably won't be, but they're in it for the long run with you, hopefully, to go back in again and hopefully again and so forth. That's like the idea. Okay, so let's how do I know? Okay, this is so weird. So,
the $3 million was like when you first moved out here and tried to get it produced.
Right, yeah. So when I first moved out here, I was like, oh, I'm gonna produce this $3 million movie, and then I realized quickly because I worked as a casting director. So after working as a casting director, I realized I was on a lot of more indie, sets, and I realized that I didn't need to have $3 million to produce a movie. That I could have much less than that, and it could still pretty much be good enough to then sell, to then potentially make money and so forth. So that was sort of the reasoning. Yep. I don't really get. Okay, so do what?
You gotta drag it to the other one.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
not sure what you're supposed to do.
So basically, okay, so I'm trying to what am I trying to do? I'm trying to take
Open it
this
up.
document right here.
Go ahead and open it. Okay, and now drag it to the right until you can't see it anymore.
Yeah. The actual?
No, you have to, since it's in the browser, you gotta drag the whole browser. Mm-hmm. Yep. There you go.
Oh my God.
There you go. And then just maximize it, and then you can see it. Yeah.
This is so weird. Okay. Okay. All right. And can you see it on the screen? I just want to make sure, because we have people that are gonna watch it from video. Can you kind of see it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess you can zoom in as necessary. So again, this is, I don't know how many, it's pretty long. So we're just gonna kind of go through it quickly, because most of it is just honestly not even worth your time to recreate something like this, in my personal opinion, in order to get money. I don't think you need to do all this, but I know people feel like you need to, so I'm showing you because I felt like I needed to do it too. Okay, so anyway, this was my original business plan. It had, okay. It had, table of contents, right? Way too long. Look at that, that's ridiculous. Okay. So, confidentiality agreement, executive summary, company background, mission, goals, objectives, management, open title card, synopsis, casting consideration, crew and consideration, professional support, marketing analysis, distribution strategy, investment opportunity, the Job Creation Act, financial projections, industry overview, marketplace, moviegoer population. I mean, I was serious about trying to get this $1 million. Top line, production budget, team bios, project details. Okay. Wait. Oh, okay. So I have to just look here the whole time. This is so strange. Okay. So how can I see the little browser thing that goes down? Where do I? So I just move this whole thing?
Just hit the down arrow and it should go down.
I just don't see the down arrow though.
It's on the far,
it's over
far
here.
right.
Okay. Here, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So I'm not, again, we're just going to go through this fast. Company background, blah, blah, production team, blah, blah, market analysis. Okay, so, actually, was I trying to do $7 million? Estimate, but look at this, $7 million. I didn't even remember. Okay, I was trying to get $7 million. My bad. Even more crazy. Okay, so, anyway, so I was trying to get $7 million, and then I put, financial projections, how much I thought it could make, and all this, of course, was like from I don't know, Box Office Mojo or something, which is what I used to kind of get information on what movies had made. And then I put my company background, my mission statement, goals and objectives, when we wanted to shoot it, the management, originally my original idea was to use reality TV actors as the real actors, because it was called Hollywood Chaos, so I kind of wanted to do like a play on this whole thing. So that was my original idea. So we I had auditions before having the funding, but I was trying to get the actors in place, because people always talking about you need to have the talent in place to try to get the funding, that whole catch-22. So we looked at a lot of people who had won different shows. And what ended up happening is I actually ended up meeting Kwame Jackson. I don't know if you remember from The Apprentice. He was like in the very first season with Omarosa. And he wanted to act, but also wanted to talk to me about investment. I did not know him at all, but so he flew down, we talked, and we had a conversation. And so he was going to try to help at that point. And I was like, oh, this is great, because he went to business school. I did not, and so so it ended up being great contact that I still keep in touch with. But again, I did not raise money. I did not raise the $7 million that I was trying to at this point. Okay, then I had the directors there, line producers, all kinds of like information, professional support, which is like my mentors, some of my mentors. And then I had this organizational chart for the LLC, because that's what you do, right? You're supposed to create your LLC for your movie, which is what we did end up doing at some point later down the line. I had an LLC, and that's how we raised the money. And then that's what the investors were putting the money into, is the LLC. And then that's the LLC chart. Then I did a market analysis of, markets. It's top 10 markets, okay. Marketing campaigns, Nielsen's ratings, trying to show the reality TV show ratings, because I was trying to use that whole concept. And then a distribution strategy, profit breakdown, servicing. I don't even know what some of this stuff means, honestly, at this point. Okay, theatrical release, and then a chart of some sort. I mean, these are like charts that I actually made. This was not like I copy and paste. Like, I made these charts, okay? Then I put like, okay, highest grossing movies, where I thought mine would fit, and how many theaters it needed, international, home entertainment, and then publicity. Right? This is just nuts. But it doesn't seem nuts, because a lot of us try to do this. A lot of people were trying to create these, yes.
When you take, because I've taken classes that tell
Yes.
you how to make a business plan.
Yes.
A lot of that is what they tell you to put in.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of,
Don't
and
waste your money.
I understand the intention behind it, because a lot of this, because what happens is by doing this, it was like a preparation. So I'm sitting down with an investor, I can talk intelligently about the product. But this itself was not necessary, because at the end of the day, I tried so hard with all of my passion and my context, and I did not raise one dime. Not one dime for $7 million, not even $1, okay? So that's important to know. I didn't raise any money after doing all this, and think about all the meetings, think about this, and then think about how I was going after. I was hustling, right? It didn't happen. Okay, so, and this is good though, this part right here, why people invest. This is actually good. Tax incentive, this is why investors do invest here to this day. Potential income projections, tax incentive to diversify their investment portfolio, capitalize on the entertainment industry. They have an interest in understanding the film business, and then they want to partake in something sophisticated. So that's a real reason. That's real, but let's see, okay. And then I had this investing process. So then I showed like what's gonna happen. They give me the $7.2 million, and then they holds the funds, and the studio verifies like the whole thing, right? And I didn't go to film school, so I really had to study and find this stuff on my own. I went to engineer, I have an engineering degree. But anyway, okay, so did all this. This is all okay. Then I did financial projections, the P&Ls of, yeah, okay. Keep it moving, gross, okay. Box office comparisons of other movies that were similar, industry overview, and then appendices, and then more budget information, then my bios, what is this? Budget breakdown, budget stuff, and then like where I got everything from. Those websites might still be useful to you. Box Office Mojo, Nielsen Media, The Numbers, movieguide.org. Those are still like good websites to research information if you do need it. So anyway, that's what my original business plan looked like. And then And then, I know you're
Might
like,
as well stay up
Angela. Okay, so take it. Do I just keep going? Is it gonna show up at some point, or?
Keep dragging it.
Okay,
There you go.
okay,
Hey!
okay.
And then if you
Let me
if you want to make it bigger,
Bigger.
inside, hit Control plus plus.
Ooh,
That should give you.
okay.
You can, and if you need to zoom it even larger, you can hit Control plus again, and you can make it even larger
Control
inside.
plus. Okay, that looks good. I just wanna make, can you guys see that? I mean,
Yeah.
you don't really need, I mean, to read it. It's not like you need to read it, but, okay.
Well.
Okay, so anyway, so here is what this is what I started with, and then ended up, so this is what I started with. I just set a really realistic budget to see, okay, let's see if we can start here and go above it somewhat, but let's just start, this is the starting point. So I started here, and we're just gonna go down real quick. How short is this? This is like, look how short this is compared to what very short, okay? How many pages does it say? 5, 6, okay, whatever. Anyway, so I had my storyline, had an elevator pitch for what the movie was, synopses, industry feedback that I had gotten from executives that had read the script. At the time, I was trying to get a female director, so I asked Nia Long to see if she would direct it. I don't know her, but I just emailed her agent. She read it and got back to me, but said no. But I used that information to try to, show that, hey, I'm willing to contact people and whatever. Okay, marketing input. I put the character breakdowns. I put directors in consideration. These were people who I wanted to do it. I had some relationship with like 2 of them, not with Virginia King, but the other 2 guys I did. And then casting consideration. So this was saying I'm the casting director for the film, and saying other films and actors that I had cast before. Putting the producing team, Tangi, who was in Felicity. You guys might remember her. She's an actress. She's produced lots of movies. And then I had one of my college friends who went to business school on there as some of the team, the distribution strategy, saying what I wanted to do with it, producing team time frame, and then some movies she had done, and then the investor's request. This is kind of what I stated in terms of the investor request, and I said what the incentives were, and then again the reasons to invest, which you saw in that other thing as well, which I still thought was valuable. And then the schedule K1, I was letting them know. When I talked to a lot of investors, they said that one of the reasons why they did not like to invest in films is because a lot of the filmmakers don't provide K1s, and they really need K1s in order to like show their losses. So that is an important thing to be able to know what it is and talk about. I'm not going to go into detail because I'm not a tax specialist, but you can Google, look up schedule K1s. And then communication flow, just basically just saying that the investors would be not having too much involvement in the process, and that I would be the one, to kind of decide things, but they're here. I put what their share was. The investor share is typically defined as 50% of the net proceeds. The other 50% actually goes to the producer share. And then I put projected ROIs on the film, and I was very realistic. You'll see I said we're trying to raise $100,000, and I said realistically we're probably only going to make back. I put a max of $220,000. That is very high actually, but it's somewhat realistic instead of saying more than that. So anyway, and then I put investor title, what their points were. Like you give points to like actors. You can also give points to your your executive producers and stuff. And I kind of broke down what the point system looked like. And the risk, saying that there is a risk. The budget breakdown of what that looked like. And the production schedule. And my contact information, where to send the check, where to send the money. Don't forget to ask for the money and tell them where to get it, how to get it to you. And that was that. And so I, let me see if I could.
Did you end up raising the full amount?
I did. I raised more than what I was trying to. And let's see if I can move this. I just like to show because I was so excited, I think, when I got my first check in. So, but anyway, that is a real check to Hollywood Chaos. So you can see it was real. That was just like the very first one. But what I did is, so that is that form right there. Those 5 or 6 pages is what I used to actually get the funding. For at least to get the initial meetings. And then some investors would ask for different things, and then I would beat by beat give them those things. They want to know whatever it is, and then I would break down that specific thing. And if I thought it was really valuable, I'd be sending it to another potential investor to say, hey, another investor asked this, you might also be interested in this too. And so that was pretty much my strategy for like the physical documents of how I went about it. Now, I'm also going to, let me show you so I did a crowdfunding campaign, which I know a lot of people are always interested in crowdfunding campaigns, and we talk about them. And I think crowdfunding campaigns, and I'm going to go back to the investor too, we're going to break down that a little bit. But I think crowdfunding campaigns can be really valuable, but I think the biggest thing is if you don't have a celebrity or a really strong name behind your crowdfunding campaign, it's basically going to fail. Or you're not going to make as much money as you would like to make. Or you have to have a strong email list. You have to have a strong, beyond your Twitter followers. I mean, because you can have 1 million followers who'd like to see what you do, but in terms of them giving you cash for something, it becomes a little harder. And now you see it's also much harder now because celebrities are doing GoFundMes and you know what I mean? It becomes harder. So without a really strong email list, it becomes difficult, and even with that. So I'll show you my Indiegogo campaign we did. I think we raised, I don't know, I can't remember, but you'll see. And my email list is pretty strong, right? I have, several thousand email addresses, and even with that, it wasn't like I would thought perhaps it would be. And I'm going to show you that so you could see, okay, let's see. Okay, okay, thank you, Keith. You're so sweet, thanks. How do I?
Which one?
So I'm basically trying to get this link. I'm trying to get back to the.
Oh, there you go.
How come I can't touch this though? How come this can't be on the screen? You know what I mean? Before I was able to. Maybe we could just move it back to the, why is it over there? Maybe just move it back to the desktop. Move it back this way. Then I can just. Can't you just move it? How you move the other one? Can we just move it over?
I'm trying to change the setup so it makes your life simpler.
Oh, okay.
One. Oh, nope, that ain't it.
Uh-oh.
It's alright, we'll be right back. Duplicate. That's what I want.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's perfect. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Now you should be able to do everything here.
Thank you. Whew. Okay. All right, here we go. So this is the Indiegogo campaign that I used. So we raised $5,000. And this was like a little video we produced. It was like, what, 60 seconds, like a 60-second video. They say you definitely need to have a video in order to crowdfunding.
I am breaking into Hollywood.
I am breaking into Hollywood.
I am breaking into Hollywood.
We are
breaking into Hollywood. I am breaking into Hollywood.
I am breaking into Hollywood.
I am the founder of Breaking Into Hollywood, a 501c3 nonprofit organization that's been helping artists for the past 7 years pursue their dreams. And now we need your help.
What? We are making a feature film.
And we've almost raised half of our goal.
But we still need your support.
In donating $9 or more.
For details about the movie,
go to www.hollywood-chaos.com.
All right, and so I did that video with all, so I used to work as an agent, and so those are all actors that I represented, and I said I need a big favor from you, and so they all agreed to do it for me. So so we shot this like in the agency where I used to work, and did this little thing. And so the reason why I'm showing you this is because, okay, so you notice it said I am breaking into Hollywood, right? Which is, as I described to you, is a 501c3 nonprofit. So what I did with my movie is I had a Hollywood Chaos LLC set up to fund, to get investors for. But then I also allowed my organization to produce the film as a co-producing partner for the film. So then I would collect donations for the organization that would then help make the movie for the film. And then I did a whole breakdown in terms of how whatever money we got, how much we would contribute back to the organization and so forth, right? And you have to, again, I am not a tax specialist or a lawyer, so you have to consult with those people to figure out how you can do that. But it's definitely, if you're trying to make a movie, nowadays it's becoming so difficult to just purely raise financial money from just investors. So having a nonprofit organization and you'll see them, if you notice, a lot of organizations that are giving out money to you for your film are also making movies. So that was their goal, right, to make movies. So there was these organizations that start to, help the African diaspora or whatever the social political movement they put out there as, and then they give out money, so they raise money, right, getting grants, they get that money, they give it out to filmmakers like us, but then they also make the movies they want to make out there, and they figure out how to do that. So that's definitely another way in which you can, create a project by actually setting up a nonprofit and kind of working it from that angle, or doing it in conjunction with a nonprofit. I know you guys are probably very familiar with, I think it's, what is it, like, sponsoring or something, where you can have like a nonprofit organization who will be a fiscal sponsor for you, right? And that's another path you can take. You can look up fiscal sponsorships and nonprofits, but that's a little bit different because you're working with someone else's nonprofit. I'm talking about setting up your own 501c3 and kind of doing that balance act. So that's what we did to so that was one of the tools. And so with doing that, the reason why that's for, so within doing that, I got about, I think it was a little bit over almost $70,000 in in-kind donations to produce the film, whether that be a free location, whether that be craft services for the whole entire week for a 40-person crew and cast, donated entirely, or whatever it may have been. So there were a lot of donations because of the 501c3 that I could then give to people who were donating whatever they were giving, some kind of, something to them. And then also because I have the whole setup of Breaking in Hollywood and the emails and things like that, I think I had the magazine going on at the time too. So I was able to offer ads. I was able to say, hey, we'll put your ad there, and just finding ways to promote that person's business, and it kind of worked out. So having a 501c3 allows you that opportunity too, to be able to take donations, give them something because they're helping a 501c3, and they can include that in their bottom line. So anyway, as you can see, it was not only I valued those $5,000. Trust me, and those 71 backers, like, thank you. But it was $5,000, and that's not a lot of money when you hear about these crowdfunding campaigns. But this is what we did. We had about the film, about the campaign, and then so on, about the script, about the producer, so on, so forth. Okay, so anyway, I do think that crowdfunding campaigns can be successful, but I think in order for them to be successful, I think that it requires a really strong email list or a celebrity attached, or you can partner with another organization that can pump out that can get those donation requests. And so, and then there's also organizations where people pay. There's organizations that you can pay and they'll help you do your crowdfunding campaign. Maybe that would be helpful because it's like a marketing tool. They understand marketing. You have to understand marketing and Facebook ads. You had a question?
No, I was just going to comment.
Oh, yeah.
Having finished this process for a castmate, we were on a series together, and
yeah.
She was trying to, in a little casting run, so we're doing this project for her, and so she has a pretty strong social media following, whatever, and we just went through this whole Indiegogo, and it did, fairly well. But it was a tremendous
Effort.
time,
Yeah.
energy drain on
It's a
you.
lot.
You have to feed the beast, you know. It's like, I mean, you pull up, like Just a Phase, you can see, you know, when they come up with the trailer, you know, it's a concept teaser trailer, and I'm pulling stock footage and doing a quick shoot with her downtown, and you know, trying to give you a sense of what the film is like, and then coming up with all this material that to keep going back to social media, because it's a hungry beast. You got to keep giving it new stuff to get new eyeballs, to
Yes.
get pushed, and it, you know, it's just definitely something to consider. Is like, okay, is this the best route to?
Is it the best route? It's a lot of time.
I was gonna say, like, I did an Indiegogo for mine, and it was a lot of work.
Right.
And but this is what I learned, because it's like most of your money is gonna first come from family and friends.
Yes, yes,
This
most
is
makes
a fact. And then the second thing is, they said that there's a psychology involved in the whole thing. People are bombarded with this every day. Everybody's got a Kickstarter. They got, even now on Facebook, it's like every day's birthday, everybody's birthday.
Yeah.
There's a donation. So it's like your head is exploding because everybody
They're like,
you
donate
know
here for my
has-
birthday.
they ask for money or whatever. So there's a psychology, like, so you have to, besides giving them the perks, you know, you have to make the message something that really hits them. Like, what are they getting from it? Like, in terms, what's their satisfaction level? Besides trying to help you. But the most important thing that I learned, and which I didn't do, and that is, they said it takes the 8th contact before they start seriously thinking about pulling out the credit card. So that means
Oh, the 8th time. So they have to keep saying it 8 times each person.
you have to ask like 8 times before you can really expect them to
actually
get
do
out of
it.
a busy schedule to come up, because it's almost like you're guilt tripping them. Like
Right.
the first time it's like, okay, I heard about it. Second time it's like, third time it's like, fourth time, fifth time, sixth time,
Eventually
seventh
they're
time,
like, okay.
eighth time it's like, oh man, I just want that to go away. And so
Right.
they feel guilty, and then they give you the money. And after about the third time, I was like, I felt like I was a homeless person on the street begging people for money, and I gave up, you know. So
Or you're trying that 8 times to give them something that's going to catch their eyeballs
time.
because they are so bombarded.
Yeah.
So it's like you're just creating, you know, at least we were trying to creating content. It's like, put
It's
more
a lot.
energy in this campaign than, you know.
Then the actual film, by the time it's the film, right? I know, and that reminds me too, it's so funny. So I had gotten this book, I'm gonna show this to you because it's just one of the, so it's called Alpha Teach Yourself Business Plans in 24 Hours, right? So this is what I started. It's a good book, so if you need a resource in terms of, you know, creating a business plan in 24 hours by Michael Miller. It's a good book. But I started, it said 24 hours, so my mind is thinking, okay, in one day, just because it's 24 hours. So I'm like, maybe 2 days, maybe a weekend, and I just started going through it, and I was like, oh my gosh, by the time I got to like, it's broken by hour, like hour 2, I was like, oh, I don't think I can do business. I don't think I can do business. I don't think so. I mean, by the time I get through this book and my schedule, it's just, this is not gonna happen. So I ended up writing a book, an ebook, so you can check it out. It's called DBA, Doing Business As, and it's like $3 or something on Amazon. But it's basically, if you're looking to basically start, it was voted it as the best guide for entrepreneurs to actually launch a business in 24 hours, okay? So it's really short, you know, it's like maybe 8 pages or something, but it goes through like if you're trying to set up your business, if you're trying to set up the LLC or decide what you're trying to do. And it's really geared towards us here in California. So I know I have some people, I've read the review, someone was like, this is for California. And I'm like, well, move here. But anyway, so that's something that, you know, may help you or whatever. But at least I was just like, this is not right. That's just not right. So, but yes, it's a lot of time and it's a lot of effort. And so you have to kind of balance out if that's what you want to do. So I think crowdfunding can be good, but I think that the amount of energy that you're spending in crowdfunding, it might be better suited to look for grants, to look for other funding sources. So, so let's let me talk about some of those, and then I'll go back to I'll go back to this other project, but let me, let's go through here first. So, so LACN, hopefully this will absolutely join this group. This is a must-to join group. It's a Yahoo group. It's called the LA Cultural Net. And this is going to be a really great resource for you. the organization, I won't share with you the organization where I applied for the grant just out of their privacy, because I've been talking about how it was so few, and I hate to like put them on blast, like, yeah, you guys only had 40 people submitting, because you know what I also thought about is the reason why maybe there was only 40 submissions for the grant, that $20,000 grant I applied for, might be that they didn't really want to do a lot of outreach, because a lot of these nonprofits are small organizations and they don't want to have, you know what I'm saying, 5,000 applications to review and consider. So they put it out there. They're like, if you're on the email list, and they put the deadlines real short, right? It's not like you have months to think about it. They'll put the deadlines really short. And then it's like, maybe that's why. Maybe they're doing it intentional, because they want to keep it small because they have a small staff. So it might be very intentional. So I'm not trying to put them on blast like, why don't you guys, let more people know about this? Because maybe they don't have the support. Because if we got a grant where we had to give away money, I definitely would not be putting it all the way out there, because I'm not trying to have our team review. We did a film festival and it was nuts when we were getting stuff in, trying to review all the, I was like, oh my gosh, this is serious work. So so perhaps that's why. But this organization, or it's an email group. So just go and join it. The emails are LACN, but just figure it out how to get on there. And what they do is they send out a lot of emails. So it's kind of like if you're ever a part of the LA Producers Group email. If you're not, join that too. It's the LA Producers email group. It's also a Yahoo group. They send out a lot of emails too. But anyway, so what's good though about this is that there's a lot of opportunities for grants. So these on here will be all the organizations. It's mainly for California. It's Los Angeles. So everything is going to be geared towards artists for the most part. So there's a lot of grants on there for individual artists. So I've seen things on there for it's like $5,000 for an individual artist to get something, and for performers, for actors, writers, directors, producer, visual arts. I mean, all kinds of stuff comes out through there. It's a very, very valuable email list to be a part of, and you just kind of gotta stay on it. Sometimes, like I said, they send a lot of emails. They send job postings too. So if you're looking for jobs in the entertainment industry, they send part-time gigs out. They send like teaching positions. I work as an adjunct professor at LMU where I teach social media. My job didn't come from there, but I have seen adjunct professor positions on there for schools like LA Film School or UCLA Extension or other places that are looking to hire instructors and things like that, where you can find things to have extra cash flow. So great email list to be a part of, the LACN. And then let's see. This is so much easier, man. Keith, thank you. Okay.
I have a question, Angela.
Yes.
So when you apply, are they awarding their grants to people who have nonprofits, or it doesn't matter?
No. I've seen both. There's a lot for nonprofits. There's a lot of stuff out there for nonprofits. That's why I say it doesn't hurt you to, if you're looking to start a nonprofit. This is how I started mine. This is a very old version because this is literally when I started it years ago. But it's called How to Form a Nonprofit Corporation. And it's by attorney Anthony Mancuso, and you can just get it on Amazon. Nolo is a really popular company that puts out a lot of books for nonprofits and businesses. So How to Form a Nonprofit Corporation, if you're looking for that. And I think they also have it specific to different states and cities and stuff like that. But if you get this book, it walks you through step by step how to start a nonprofit. And I think it's like, when I started, it was like $500 to submit to the government. And then, that was that. So they definitely are a lot on there just for nonprofits. But there's also individual artist opportunities. A lot of it's like opportunities. It might not be a grant. It might be I forget what they call them, like a fellowship or, things like that, like a work study, like stuff like that. It's some really great stuff on there. The Santa Monica, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Santa Monica Beach House.
Yeah, Annenberg.
Yeah, the Annenberg Santa Monica Beach House. They also have some kind of I think for writers, they have like a, if you look at the Santa Monica Beach House, they have some kind of like a fellowship or writing thing for authors. I think it's for authors that you submit, and then you have to stay there. They give you like a free office or something, and you have to you can do your work and then perform it like a reading or something. It's a whole thing. But anyway, I found out about that through the Los Angeles Cultural Net. So it's stuff for individual artists as well as nonprofits. So it's both. So you have to kind of just stay on it and kind of do your digging. But definitely a good one. Okay, then we're gonna go here. So USB. So this is mainly for women. But nonetheless, showing it. So for you guys, pair up with a woman, get your wife, your aunt, whoever to be a part of it. But anyway, so this is with UBS, which is the bank, or I guess I don't know what exactly they are beyond the bank, but I guess maybe an investment firm. But anyway, so Project Entrepreneur. So what you can do here is, it's a whole process, but what you need to do is basically just go to this website, projectentrepreneur.org. Projectentrepreneur.org. Go to the website and get on their email list. And what I want to show you is, if you look at the advisory council, this is when we talk about finding mentors and finding people to connect with. Look at advisory councils of Film Independent. If you don't want to be a member of Film Independent, okay, who are their advisor councils? Who are the counselors? Who are the board members? Who are the people that are in that organization? Google these people. Who is Adam Sloan? Who are these people? What is CAA social impact? Have you heard of that? Do you know what that is? Look into these things. There's a lot of nitty gritty, thing. There was a New York Times article that somebody sent me on our email list that came out about TV writers and diversity, and in there they talked about a thing called Amplify. Did you see that, right? And they talked about a thing called Amplify, where they're looking for, Amplify is like kind of like I don't want to say a secret, but yeah, kind of like a secret organization within. It's not secret, but they just don't talk about it. It's not they're trying to keep it a secret, but that's why the article was referencing it. But basically, to get in it, you have to have like established TV credits and stuff to be a part of it. But the point is that's okay. But the point is that, do we even know about it? Did you know about it? Because knowledge is power, right? So once you know about it, you can okay, well, once you do get that first TV staff writing position, go join it. Because I asked 5 people who I know who write for television if they knew about it, and they're looking for gigs, and they were like, no, they had no idea about it, that they could be added to it. So it's specifically for diversity or whatever, but which is a big, wide thing nowadays. So I think the advisory councils are great things to look at for different things. But okay, so go there, join there, learn more about this, and just get on their email list. The other thing is CSQ. How many of you are familiar with CSQ magazine? How many of you read that? How many of you read CSQ magazine? This is my go-to publication. Do you hear me? If you do not have, if you subscribe to no other magazine, you need to subscribe to this one. I should do a commercial for them, right? But CSQ, which is for C-suite, it's for the C-suite, so it's for CEOs, right? And this is it's a physical hard print, and you can basically, so I go to, I'm trying to see where I usually get them. They usually have them for free. I go to a place called Coral Tree in Brentwood, and then there's one in Encino, and they usually have them there. They're usually just like free publications that you can kind of see out at different places. Like if you're ever in like Malibu, where is it? What is that called? Malibu Country Mart or whatever. They also have it there, just like at random little, when you see those little outlets of magazines, just like kind of random places. But I picked up this magazine, and I'm telling you, this is gold. It is so gold. So I have used it to find speakers sometimes. And what I mean is the people in there it's really investment heavy. So, but I've contacted people like, hey, this is kind of what I do. I'm just trying to connect. I'm trying to help filmmakers get access to money. Do you know who I could talk to? And they're like, oh, I don't do that. I deal with like $1 million. But let me introduce you to my friend so-and-so. Then I meet so-and-so, and I've invited so-and-so, I can't remember his name, but he came one time when we did our events back at Westside Pavilion. He came and talked to us about, funding and stuff like that. But anyway, so definitely subscribe to it. The magazine, go on and get a subscription to the magazine, or pick it up for free. I don't have a subscription. I just pick it up for free where I always go, and I pick it up. And what I want to show you, so even if you don't have a subscription to it until you can find it or get one, you could at least utilize their website. So every month, I think it's a monthly publication. Yeah, it's monthly. And every month they have what they call advisors, and you see here they have a list of their advisors that are basically. The advisors write articles for their magazine, and these people are very interesting people that are just so connected. And a lot of times, let me see, is this it? Oh no. A lot of times, if you click the person's name, let's see. Well, it didn't show up here for him. Oh yeah, here we go, right here. Look at that. Bam. This is to send him a message. And his phone number. Obviously, this is his phone number for his office, but still, right? So they usually have email addresses. Sometimes they actually have the physical email, and then sometimes they actually have the contact, and they have different ones. You saw Kobe Bryant was on for this issue or whatever, but they have a lot of, and this guy, yeah, he is real cool. But anyway, like I know him. I emailed him too. Like he did not respond, but I still emailed him. Anyway, so and I also I was an article on some guy. He said he likes to give back, and he was a big time like philanthropist, made a lot of money, and not in the entertainment industry, but it was like food and hospitality. And I emailed saying, hey, I have this organization, and I would love to, if you have any office space, we're working on trying to get our office space. And he put me in touch with he owned all this property, and he said, sure, I'll give you free office for a whole year. I was like, what? So we went to the space. It was a little further. It was like near Inglewood, and he was like, but Inglewood's gonna be the new thing because the blah 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 is coming here and whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine driving all the way out here and trying to get speakers and everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm like, why did I ask him for something and then I have to turn this down? This is nuts. Like, oh my gosh, I was like feeling so bad. I was like, he's never gonna talk to me again. This is awful. But anyway, nonetheless, this is just a simple email. This guy doesn't know me from Adam's apple. My email was short and sweet. I highly doubt he went on and did any research. He probably just read it. He just doesn't have anybody emailing him like that. These people don't have people emailing them out like that. What's her name? Is it Melody Hobson, I think? Who's married to
George Lucas?
Yeah, okay, his wife. So I emailed her before. Like, I don't know her from Adam's apple. I was like, hey, Melody, I'm African American woman, blah blah blah. She replied like that day. Hi, nice to meet you. Can't help you. Whatever. I was asking for money, I think. Can't help you, but stay in touch or something. Whatever. I still every once in a while email her. Hey, good job, girl. You know what I mean? One day we'll do something. Don't worry. But it just takes time, right? Building those relationships. That people see you're legit. You're here to stay, kind of thing. But these people respond. So when people tell me that, oh, I send emails and nobody's responding, to me, you're probably just not you're not drafting the right message. It needs to be very, very short. These people are extremely busy. I mean, and I know people are writing long emails because I get them. At my level, I get emails and they're just like so long, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is your question? Like, what is the question? And I just delete or ignore because I can't process what you're asking me. So anyway, and they're like that too, very busy. So anyway, that is this organization or this, and they also do events, but you have to get invited to go to their events, but they do a lot of events. But just get one, if you get one publication, if you do nothing else, you leave here and get one CSQ publication, your life will be changed. Promise, I promise. Okay, let's see, another source. Okay, so ACG, so investors, all right. So ACG, how many of you have heard of ACG, LA Business Conference? Anybody, nobody? Okay, so ACG LA Business Conference, if you ask anyone who is a financial guru, they know about this. This is like literally the #1 place where deals are happening.
Does it do anything with nonprofits today?
It's not directly nonprofits, but I think there are some nonprofits affiliated with it. Do you know what I mean? So I think a lot of the people, what you'll notice is that a lot of people who are very wealthy have affiliations with nonprofits because for financial reasons, right? So there's usually something that goes hand in hand, almost, and even advertising agencies nowadays. Advertising agencies like David and Goliath, right? One of the top advertising agencies in LA, they also have a conjunction nonprofit because their clients that they're working with we're looking to do more work, and so it's kind of like all funneling together. So almost every big company has a foundation, a nonprofit that goes along with it. So it's not directly, but it definitely can be very useful. Now this is expensive. This is not a cheap, but a lot of things are expensive. But it's an expensive. They have an event coming up, and I think it's like $1,000 or something a ticket. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you going if you don't know like what this organization is and you're trying to kind of figure it out. I just say take the website. And dive into the website. Who are these people? Do you know who these people are? Dive into who they are, what companies that they are part of. If you look here, and you go to attendees, and look at this. Click to download. Click to download. This was just a simple click to download, right? Look what we're about to see. So remember, it's ACG LA. I'll give you look at this. This is nuts. Wow. Look at this. All these investors. Look at this from A. Wow. Look at that. Just going. A all the way down to Z. I mean, really, does it get any? I mean, that's just ridiculous. That is a massive amount. Crazy. This is contact information. You know what I mean? And if you keep going, there's another. If you dive into the website, some of them have emails. I mean, it's just pretty. Wow. Like the first one, I think I looked at. Let me see. And who are these people? Okay, so let's talk about who these people are too, because it's just like, okay, who are these people? Hold on a second. I was trying to find. Is this it? Deal source? No. Hold on. Maybe okay. Oh yeah, is this it? Is this what I was looking for? Oh yeah, these companies, deal source participants. Okay, so I mean, a lot of what these people are investment banks. So this is investment banks. These are people that are dealing with, you know, big people's money, right? They have a lot of money, and they are managing their money. They're managing people's money, and this is big. So like I told you, remember I contacted someone, they were like, oh no, I can't help you, because they're dealing with, you know, millions upon millions of dollars. But what I'm saying is, if you identify a couple of people, all you need in order to make your project, your specific project or your movie, it's just like 1 or 2 people to get behind you. So like right now, like I have one investor that is working with me, that believes in what I'm doing, understands, and that I only go when I really need it. It's like, I don't need anything. You don't have anything? Nope, not right now. Okay, I have these things I'm working on right now. Cool, and they respect that. Like, you don't need any money. I'm offering you money. You don't need any money right now. Okay, because I don't. Because I'm trying to focus on some other aspects. But the important thing is building those relationships with the people, so that when you do need the money, they're like, how much do you need? Because they know you need it, and they know you're serious about whatever it is you're coming to them. But you have to build the relationships. So you cannot just email an investment banker and think he's going to give you $5,000 or $10,000 or $1 even, right? Because they don't know you. So you have to build the relationship. So what I would recommend is finding, going to a website like this, going to CSQ, and just find a couple of people that you connect to, whether you're from the same town as them or just whatever, you went to the same school, and just saying, hey, I'm reaching out to you because I was at a workshop and, they mentioned your company, or I read your bio, or whatever it is, whatever your lead-in is, and I just had a quick question about whatever. Give them a specific question you think they can answer this, maybe you even know the answer to. Or you can say something like, do you recommend I go to this as a blah blah blah, or are you attending this event? Would love to meet with you for like a 15-minute coffee. I just had 2 questions I wanted to ask you, or something. I mean, you can figure out your way in based on what you're doing, because everybody's doing different things. But you want to make a connection, and this is a great place when you're looking to make a connection with people. And these people are coming out. I always find the people that go to conferences, that go to film festivals, those are the people that tend to want to help people the most. So ACGLA is a great, ACGLA is an organization. So they have it's ACGLAconference.com. ACGLAconference.com. But if you Google ACGLA, ACG Chicago, ACG, whatever the major cities are.
I have a question.
Yes.
So for the person that you said you developed a relationship with, and that they offer you, they give you money and stuff like that, did you have to have a 501c3 as a criteria for them to give, or they just...
No, so the investors, that's a good question. So the investors that I work with, they were giving me checks specifically for a film, or I had a TV pilot I was working on.
But so they didn't ask you about your 501c3?
No, it had nothing to do with my 501c3. Wow. I mean, they knew I had one. They knew, but they knew I had one in the sense they just know more who I was, because I'm saying, okay, I have, I have 3 kids or whatever. Like, I'm explaining who I am as a person. But no, when they write the check, so for the film, they wrote the check to Hollywood Chaos LLC. Okay, when we did the documentary that was to my actual production company, my BIH Entertainment. That check went, because I didn't set it up as an LC because it was a much smaller project that I was doing for the PBS documentary. And yeah, so no. Okay. But we did have to have the LLC set up though for the investment. So you definitely need to have if you're looking to get investment money from someone who you don't have a relationship with already, you definitely want to have an LLC, because it just shows them that you're serious. You're not going to run with their money. Yeah.
I have the federal EIN, but I don't have the 501c3.
No, you don't need a 501c3. Okay. If you have an LLC, you're good.
But what if I created the LLC in another state? That's okay?
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it is, just as long as you have it. Because it's just saying you're going to report your taxes, you're going to give them a K-1, you're legit. They're going to write the check to that company, and if they need to come hunt you down, they're going to, go to that or whatever. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Well, so for the K-1, do they have to own a percentage of the company? Because I was arguing with my accountant about this yesterday.
I'm not an accountant, not an attorney, so I can't speak to any issues as it relates to that in terms
Yeah.
of owning or whatever. But I think with ours, we definitely did give them some ownership.
Oh, okay.
We did give some ownership for the Hollywood Kick-Ass LLC.
Okay.
But it gets very, it's so tricky because it gets very, you don't think about these things. But when you did the film, so when I shot that film, what was it? It was a couple years ago, at least 4 years ago, right? When we did that, yeah, 4 years. So, so when I did that movie, and I'm still, I just had a deal. We just got a deal, like a couple of months ago from the 4 years ago, and then 2 years before that. It's such a long process, right?
Yeah.
So from the time you get that, get the money in, and then it's longevity. So the whole idea of like keeping open all these Hollywood, like different LLCs for each film. Is tricky. I understand the rationale behind it, but if you really get to moving and acting, you're going to have a bunch of LLCs for different films. So, it makes sense to have your production company, if you can, as an LLC. And I know people get concerned about, like, the taxes and stuff like that, but I think if you're not making a certain amount of money for your LLC, there's a way where you don't have to pay taxes if you're under a certain amount. With, like, the Los Angeles County, you have to figure that out. But again, I don't know all of those finite details. So maybe find another accountant if you don't want to argue with that one.
But I have a quick question.
Yes.
So can you do it? So like if you have your main LLC, can you do it for each one as a DBA, do a business as, or no?
Yeah, you can.
Do it as a DBA.
Yeah, you can. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you
So you don't have to like pay that whole.
Well, you're
amount
still
each
gonna-
time you create the LLC because the DBA is a lot cheaper.
Yeah, you could do right. Yeah, you could do you could do a DBA for all of your different projects. But at the end of the day, when they write the check, they can write the check to that, but it's still going to be funneling out of that LLC. So the taxes, K1, everything you're filing is going to be filed underneath that LLC. But yeah, you can have different DBAs just to keep it coordinated. If you want to.
But I would still talk to a lawyer because
See?
people do LLCs
To a lawyer.
to protect yourself for liability.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's still going to come back to the liability for that LLC. So I don't know.
because
But
if you do a DBA, you're taking full responsibility.
well,
if
no.
something happens.
There's a difference though. So you can do a DBA though within your LLC though. You know what I mean? So the liability. So you can your business, your LLC can do business as.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you're not taking any personal liability.
but she's talking about just doing all DBAs though.
Yeah, you could do so there's DBA is the doing business as. You can do it as yourself, right? Where you get a DBA, right, for yourself, but you can also get a DBA for for multiple businesses. So I'll give you an example. So Breaking Hollywood, I have a 501c3, Breaking Hollywood, and within my Breaking Hollywood, we have we had Hollywood Vine Film Festival, Hollywood Vine Mag. We had different business ventures, right? There was just easier to categorize things, and so we had a DBA, but the DBA is for the business. So if someone wants to attack Hollywood and Vine Magazine, or let's just say with the films, right? Let's say you have 4 films underneath your LLC, and someone wants to attack this one. To his point, yeah, they're gonna get the money from here. This is the bucket. So no matter what, they can attack your company, but they can't attack your private assets or anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's how you're protecting your company too.
Yeah, right, and that's the point. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's a good point. You're going to, if you set them up as DBAs, I mean that's a nice organization. But if you set them up as DBAs within your LLC, your problem is going to be that like if let's say you made money with Project A, then they can come after Project A money just because you set up as DBA doesn't matter because it's all underneath the LLC. So it's better to set them up individually for that reason. Yeah, because they can only go after that one LLC.
You're just gonna be paying a little bit more every time you register, but in the long run,
Well, it just depends.
You're protecting.
Yeah, you're just protecting yourself. You're protecting yourself. So yes, okay. So let's keep it rolling. So anyway, great website, good company to research, and again, you don't have to necessarily go, but dive into their website. And let me speed up to make sure we get through everything. Okay, so LinkedIn. All right, so LinkedIn is a great way to find investors, but the way that you need to do it, how many of you are part of LinkedIn groups on LinkedIn? So for those that are not, first of all, make sure you open up your LinkedIn, and you basically this little area right here where you go to groups. And then you can see these are a list of my groups, but you can find whatever groups you want to find. So let's see, investors. Okay, then you have to click here, more groups. And then it'll give you a list of groups that have the title investor in them. And you can figure out, look, there's at least 10 pages of them. You can figure out, oh, Film Angels. Oh, how many of us are a part of the Film Angel group? I know you are, Bruce. Bruce, honey.
Haven't gotten any money from them, but
yeah. This is true. Yeah. So these are great groups, and the reason what you do with these groups is you join them first of all, and then you get in there and you start posting stuff, and you're getting people familiar with who you are. You start paying attention to who people are, and just trying to comment, trying to again build that relationship. Everyone is not a people person where they're gonna go up to you in Starbucks, introduce themselves. Everyone's not a type A where you're gonna be aggressively out there. You know, we all have our different ways and our different skills and things like that. So no matter what your personality type is, there's a way where you can find people and authentically connect with them. And I've definitely found a couple of people through LinkedIn groups in the film, different investment, and I wouldn't necessarily you have to focus on just the word investment. I just gave that as an example to you. The other really big thing that's happening now, well, there's two big things, but the other big thing that a lot of people are doing is, so we had a guy who came to one of our events. He was an attendee, and he did a documentary on something with like, maybe it was like Disney Concert Hall, some kind of like documentary related to music, and it was like kind of a low budget thing, didn't spend a lot of money on it, but he used that, creating that documentary as a way to then go get funding for his feature film that he wanted, that kind of had a music theme to it. It wasn't related to Walt Disney or anything like that, but it had a music theme to it. And I think that's that's an innovative strategy. So you can do a documentary for, you know, fairly cheap. So this one, I'll just show you a quick little, so this is a documentary that I did that PBS bought and aired just here in Los Angeles, locally.
The pictures were in some ways worse than right. I had to walk away knowing that I can't really walk away.
TMZ jumped on the story to shed light on this casting director and the sexual harassment that goes on.
My friends, but they were like, was he cute? He was a nice looking guy, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna, you know, sleep with him so I get my script sold.
Actually, like, yanked my hair. He, like, full on grabs my butt.
He pulls his penis from underneath his short.
I ended up in the ER.
He asked me, did I masturbate? A pastor who I started working for.
There were some sexual harassment situations that were so bad, I swear they were scenes straight out of The Wolf from Wall Street.
The only reason why it's been allowed to happen is because no one's speaking up about it.
Okay, so that is a documentary that I did for, and we did it, so, and that, did you see?
Is the cue?
How do I stop this key?
Celebrity lifestyle special top rating.
Excuse me. No, that's just, oh, well, you get, now you post all of them.
Oh, okay, that's okay. We don't need it. Okay, anyway, so that documentary I did for really cheap, like maybe I want to say well under 5,000.
Wow.
And maybe somewhere between 1 and 5, like really cheap. Basically, you could all afford to do it. Let me put it to you like that. Okay, everybody could do this on your credit card or whatever you got to do to make it happen. Don't recommend credit cards, but still. But whatever you have to do. But and so the reason why I share that is because there's two things. So one is, so I shot this film in a confessional style. So what I mean is, you saw those people being interviewed. That's the documentary. Like, it's just back to back talking heads. There's no, you know, B-roll or anything like that. It's just back to back talking heads, 60 minutes. So it's full length feature. And this was before the whole Me Too movement. So this was before that. And so anyway, so when I produced this film, I didn't go into it with this intention. I just did it because some friends and I were talking. We're like, oh, this would be a cool thing. We should do this. Da, da, da. We did it. Okay, boom. But what happened from it though is I got all kinds of like speaking engagements and people thinking I'm like supposed to be a voice for this movement. It wasn't really meant to be all that. I was like, I don't go too deep into there. Like I contributed. This is my thing. I'm done. I'm not trying to do too much in that space. But what it did do is it allowed open doors in terms of like the connections that you can make. So if you have a political movement, a social movement, like whatever, animals, like whatever your thing is, whatever your thing is, that's another way to kind of open some doors for you. The documentary route can be done so cheaply and make it a feature. I appreciate the whole web series thing and all that, but web series, you can spend, again, so much time and energy on a web series that you might as well have produced a full-length 60-minute something. And a documentary is cool because you can do it in 60 minutes for $1,000. I guarantee you can do it. You can do a good documentary if you find a good topic for $1,000, and then that can be the thing that you just utilize to get a project complete and done. In this kind of style, it's harder to do if you're going to do B-roll and things like that. I mean, it can be done, but it gets more challenging the more elements you add to it. But I'm just trying to say, if you want to get a project done and you want to get some notability and notoriety or whatever, and you've gone 3 months, 6 months, and you still have your project, stop that. Create something, get something done, and you can do that in a short amount of time. That then you can get what you need to then get more money and show that you can finish something. First of all, right? Now, when PBS picked this up, it wasn't a lot of money that they gave, but they did pay, and it just aired in Los Angeles, but we're able to promote that, right? So publicists, and because of the topic, of course, a lot of women wanted to just support and come out to help promote it. And so we got, articles and news and just a lot of things that got the relationship started. The other reason why documentaries can be useful is you can parlay that into something like going back to the whole Walt Disney thing. So the guy was shooting a documentary on a topic. So let's say you had a romantic comedy, right? And you have a romantic comedy idea or a Christmas story or whatever it is, and you do a documentary on that. You do a documentary on Christmas, or you had a romantic comedy something, and you do a documentary on relationships, online dating. Let's say you do a documentary on online dating, getting married online, whatever it is, right? And you just have stories like eHarmony kind of stuff, right? eHarmony match stories and people talking. And then you finish your documentary, and then after you have your documentary, right, you use that as your pitch and as your card to investors for your real romantic comedy. Who one of the characters happens to date online. You know what I mean? You figure out whatever that thing is that works for you. But a documentary is great because also there's so much funding out there for documentaries. There was one on our email list. We just put one. I can't remember what the name is of. They were looking for funding. They were looking to fund documentaries, but I think the deadline already ended. But anyway, there's a lot of funding out there. So on that LACN list, there's a lot of information for the nonprofits for funding. And so you can also sort of work backwards. Take a look at what people are funding and then go create a project for that. Find out what is the majority of stuff that people are funding. Okay, they're funding these kind of things. And then go create a movie about, whatever, a short feature film. It doesn't have to be all that amazing looking. So it does have to be amazing looking if you wanted to get into the top film festivals and you want to win the awards. But I'm just saying, take a step back. Because I think what's really important is the movement of things, getting things done. When people see that you can get something done, more stuff will come to you. Opportunities will come to you. Paid this and that. Things will come to you when people see that you have that trajectory of getting something done. Because so many of us, we spend so many years. I cannot tell you, and I'm so passionate about this topic because for that movie, Hollywood Chaos. Let me remind you that when I moved out here, right? My goal was I moved out here in, I don't remember, so 2005, I guess it started, maybe 2004, whatever it is. When was 9/11? 2001?
Yeah.
So I moved out here in 2001 because it was right before 9/11 happened. And so I had that script, Hollywood Chaos, in the backseat. At the time I had a Geo Tracker, 1994, whatever, Geo Tracker. And I had that, and I drove cross country in that. And I had that in my backseat, and I was like, I'm going to get this movie made, right? From that point, from that movie till the time I actually did it was 10 years. That is not acceptable. That is not acceptable. Now, yes, some things changed, from film to digital. Yeah, I can make excuses as to like how, now it's so much easier. I mean, now there is just no excuse why you cannot get a project done. And also a feature film done. Shorts are great, web series are great, but focus on getting that feature completed and done because also it opens up the door for you to have the relationships with the production companies, right? Because once you have a relationship with 1 or 2 production companies, you know, like even now, like that film that's on, you know, the UMC, I mean, it's airing now. I just got the deal now. So I'm like, ooh, this is a good time to email some random people and be like, hey, I have a movie airing right now on this channel. Like they click, they see, oh, it's streaming there or whatever. Because the Hulu, when it aired there, was a couple years ago. Because the things, you know, it becomes, oh, your project is old. I made that movie 4 years ago, but it still can be a calling card if there's something fresh happening with it now. So that's why the whole thing with features are good, because you can always like put it in a new festival or do this or that, or say, oh, I was on a panel and spoke here or whatever. You can just make those connections. So I think documentaries are really good from that standpoint. And I want to make sure investors, I think, yeah, okay, I wanted to make sure, with the investors, oh yeah, okay, so let me go back and then I'll take some questions. So I just want to make sure I touch on this. So in terms of like investors, in terms of, you know, finding investors and building that relationship with them and getting that money. So it's always going to be finding that common ground with someone. So I always share this story because I think it's pretty funny. But like I literally raised $10,000 from one person while I was in the hair salon, right? So I was sitting in the hair salon and I did not know who the woman was next to me. We were just talking. We would come at the same time to the hair salon and we would always just be kind of talking on Fridays at whatever time we were there. We were always just there like, hey, you know, whatever. So our common ground was that we had the same hairstylist. So there was some trust there. We see each other pretty much every Friday or every 2 weeks or whatever, right? So there was a common ground, but nothing beyond that. Like there was no exchange of contact information. And then one day I was just like, you know, what do you do? Because you know, what do you do? We just be talking about random stuff. And she was like, oh, I work in, you know, in dealing with like housing and, you know, something commercial real estate. And I was like, oh, okay, not really knowing much about it. And I was like, well, do you like what you do? She's like, well, I make a lot of money. But I'm like, oh, you make a lot of money? Oh, well, do you invest? Or da-da-da. She's like, oh, yeah, actually, I invested in film before, but it was a flop. And I was like, oh, what went wrong? And I was like, well, you know, would you do it again? Yeah, but this will be the conditions, and this is why. And I was like, oh, well, I have a project. and so we met for drinks with my husband and her husband. And then I don't drink, so I have a little cranberry juice. But nonetheless, we still met and talked and then she agreed to do 5, and then after another conversation agreed to do 10. And then that was like, oh my gosh, like when you get that first check, you're like, I can do this. If like she will do it, someone else will. And then you just started going. And then I asked like a family member who had no idea has money. I'm like, what are you? He's like, you never asked me. I was like, I never asked you? Are you joking? You know I'm doing this, so closed mouths don't get fed. So you have to ask. I know it's hard to like, you know, it gets annoying to have to ask, but asking. So I think when you're trying to build relationships with investors, the biggest thing is trying to find that common ground with them, and then just giving them something short and sweet. The reason why people invest in you is just because they like you. It really is. It's just because they like you and they think you're gonna get the project done. That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they want to make their money back. They do. But at the end of the day, they know that that's probably very unlikely, right? That first time. That second time probably is likely. And they might think that it's likely the first time. They're hoping, because we're all hoping, but you know, they invest. Most investors invest in other things, so this is not like foreign to them. And so the other thing I want to say is when it comes to attaching talent, I know with projects it's a really big thing. You got to have talent attached, you got to have talent attached, and then you can go out for money. Just that is just no. Like no, I just don't believe that. And again, I'm speaking from my personal experiences. I used to actually get paid where people would pay me like $5,000 because I was a casting director, right? And I would attach talent easily, like drop of a hat, get an LOI from whoever, William Morris, boom, get it done, sent over to the producer, and he could not get the funding because he didn't have the relationships that he needed to get the funding. Nothing against him, but I'm just saying in general. So pretend that you have all the actors you need attached, and then where are you gonna go? Pretend Will Smith is attached. What are you gonna? Well, that's kind of dramatic. You can walk into any studio and be like, hey. But I'm just saying, pretend you have whoever, you know what I mean, attached, and then what exactly are you gonna do? Who do you know you're gonna go to for investing? Focus on the investors, right? Focus on building this relationship with them. The talent will come. Talent loves to work. Talent will come. I have seen it. I have seen talent. They will rise and stand and be where you need them to be. to help you, period. But it's the other side that's tricky. Finding the money is a lot harder. So I hope that you got at least some tips on how to, find some different places and sources. I think the most useful for me has been CSQ #1 by far. That magazine, you dive in, you will get a lot from it. And then the second would be the LACN. And then the third thing I was going to say, we didn't talk about it here, is focusing on branded content, branded films. So PepsiCo, Marriott, Airbnb, Samsung, pretty much all the major companies. Get a subscription to Adweek. Get a subscription to Adweek. Forget the Hollywood Reporter and Variety and all that stuff. That's just like, no. Those magazines are great and I love them. I think they're cool and they're fun and they kind of inspire you and it's cool and it's good information to figure out where to eat and things like that. But at the end of the day, where I feel like I am, I'll speak for myself because I can't speak for you, but where I am, the Hollywood Reporter is just it's not going to necessarily help me. It gives me certain kinds of information, but stuff in like Adweek, I will read something in Adweek or in CSQ and I'm like, oh, I can there's an action I can take. I see this, they're talking about, they're saying we're looking for pitches from production companies. Marriott said in an article. I'm like, you're looking for pitches from production companies, and who are you? Okay, Vice President so and so. Okay, let me contact you. Hey, I'm a production company. Oh, hey, nice to meet you. Okay, what do you got? What are you looking for? Oh, we're looking for Marriott. They're looking for romantic comedies. They're looking for romantic comedy movies to get people to stay in their thing. And then the branded films, you can't tell Marriott produced the movie or whatever the company is that produced the movie. Yeah, there might be some kind of, product placement in there. But that's not really the purpose. So branded films and focusing on that, I think is a newer, more innovative way for you to kind of get in before, and not before, because celebrities are doing it now too. A lot of celebrities are making deals with brands. But I think most filmmakers are not focused on that. And there's actually a film festival. If you look up like Branded Film Festival, I think it's called Branded. I think it might even call it Brand Film Festival. But look up the Brand Film Festival, and it's a film festival where ad agencies can submit their films, their short films, their web series, or their features for work. And if you look them up, you'll see that's the list of people who are producing content. And then maybe you could get a deal just doing, a web series with whomever, you know what I mean? Just to kind of get in there. And also in a couple of weeks, we're going to have Sony. Finally, I've been trying to get Sony Crackle. that's their online. Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to get them to come. So they're going to come. So, because actually the speaker was working at a bank. He was a used to be an investment banker, and now he's moving over to, now he's there at Sony. So anyway, so he's going to come and share with us, I think in October. So definitely stay on our email. Stay, pay close attention to that email. Definitely that'll be a good event to come to. But, okay, so let's go through questions of whatever. Yes.
So I'm a singer and an actress and a writer. So if I wanted to possibly do like a biopic, but I could somewhat call it like a documentary feature film.
About yourself? Or?
Maybe about someone else.
Okay.
Like an artist, another singer another singer in the R&B community from a long time ago.
Okay, and so the question is?
Like, how would you suggest putting that together, like breaking it down for me? Because that's why I was wondering.
So you mean in terms of like producing it? You mean in terms of like trying to create
investors to be involved in it?
I mean, it's a film, right? Yeah. So you're creating a film. So if you have, if you have a film idea of any sorts, you're either going to get the script done, or if you feel like you're one of those people where you're going to spend months and months and years working on a script, don't do it. Just seriously, just stop with the length of time and working on stuff. It's just don't. So, and to give you an example, because I try to speak from personal and not just, I had a pilot idea. I had an idea and I was like, ooh, I can write the script, a TV pilot's 20 pages, I can do this, and I get to type it, then my one kid, I have 3 kids, so it's just like, oh, and then it just never could get done. And so I was like, okay, I just can't do this. So anyway, so then I talked to an actress, Vanessa Simmons, who was in my movie, who I work with on a lot of different stuff and helping her in different capacities. And I was like, hey, I have this idea for you. She's like, oh my gosh, I love it. Let's do it. I'm like, okay, great. We're gonna shoot it. We're just gonna shoot a little trailer, just a short little snippet, like 3 hours. We shot at the house. If you're ever looking for places to shoot for Chic, there's a site called Peerspace. Peerspace.com, great website to use to find cheap locations to shoot. Everything from houses to offices and so forth. But anyway, so went on there because we had a location, but it fell through. And then went on there and, you know, just shot a trailer or something. You know what I mean? I think we had this camera. We definitely hired some people, but it was very small, very, very small. Everyone was doing favors, really. It was just, and just shot a little snippet of it because I didn't have the time to write it. I just cannot take the time to do it at this point in what I'm doing. But I have this idea. And then I took that little 60-second trailer and started sending it out. And actually, there's a site called virtualpitchfest.com. Some of you may have heard of, which I mentioned at our last one, right? And that was the one on there. I submitted that trailer on there. Like, you pay for pitches, basically, and 3 of the agents responded and were like, send me the script. I'm like, oh, man, I don't have that script. But I'm going to explain to you why I don't have the script and why I think you can sell it with just a trailer, because you were interested. Yeah. So if you were interested, you can get a buyer interested, too. Virtualpitchfest.com. And that's a great place. You have to buy, pay to play. I'm never afraid to pay, because it's like $10, $15 a pitch. It's something very reasonable. Because I remember, Keith, you were like, why would you have to pay if you have all this contacts? Right. Sometimes it's just easier. Yeah, I have contacts. Well, I can contact you, but sometimes I actually had like 4 free ones or something. I think I had bought it a long time ago. And I was like, oh, let me just go on and submit this. I just finished this new project. Let me see what people think about it. And boom, and then I got some interest. And then that led to me being like, okay, you got to write this thing. Yeah. Or maybe I don't, because I still don't have the time. But anyway, But
then my other question is, so I have a script that I'm interested, that I have registered with the Library of Congress and also with the WGA. So I've sent it to 3 people, and I haven't heard anything from them. So should I be worried? Can they still, like, possibly steal it? Or do you know
I mean, anybody can do anything. Anybody can always steal any idea, but I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it. I personally, again, my personal thoughts on that are what God gave to you. So just keep it moving. Yes, if it gets stolen, okay, fight that battle when you
like the lady with the Matrix.
Yeah, when you get there, then deal with it then. But I just wouldn't worry too much about it. I think you have to just spend more energy. You have so much more energy that needs to be spent in better places. So I wouldn't focus on it. You registered it. You only really need to register with the Copyright Office. You don't really need the WGA, except for like some writers programs. If you're going to submit your scripts to different writers programs, you sometimes need to have a WGA. But you just need to have your U.S. copyright or mail it to yourself or whatever. And once you do that, you're good. And just go out there and pitch it. Either have your script done, get your project details, which is just like a 2 or 3 page, and just start sending it out to people and saying, hey, I'm looking for, however much you're looking for it. I would say if you've never shot a feature film ever, then focus on saying you're trying to shoot the trailer. Focus on getting money to get the trailer done, and then, or the sizzle done, or whatever. Focus on doing that first. And if you don't have the money to do that, and you find yourself after 3 months, then just create a Rip-O-Matic, where you just pull footage from different things and put it together. So you have something to be able to show that you can, create, and you have something to be able to show people what you're looking for. Other questions? Ethan? Yeah.
What's another good nonprofit organization or a conference to be part of as a nonprofit?
Ooh.
What are some of the best ones, do you think?
For what kind of nonprofit is it?
It's to help people, to help society.
Like a social? Just like a social. Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea in terms of good organizations, but what I would suggest is that is a great question for one of those CSQ advisors. Mm-hmm. So seriously, that's a great question. So I would, tonight if you can, go on that website, look up 5 people, and that's a great way to go in, because it's like a non-threatening question. You don't want money, you're helping people, you're just trying to find, do you know of a good event I can go to for nonprofit organizations? And finding that's the best way of what I would do. And I do think that if you join that LACN, you'll get the answer in 1 week. In 1 week, you will see an event that will pop up. You'll be like, oh, I need to go to this. Definitely get on that email list for sure. And also, I would say in terms of legal, I know a lot of times people want legal support, they don't have the money. The Los Angeles County Bar Association and the San Fernando Valley Bar Association both have attorney referral services, ARS. where they charge you like $50 and you can then get assigned an attorney and at least have like an initial consultation. Now they will charge you further for actual like aiding you, but at least that's a step. If you have like some basic questions, they'll address it in there. So the Los Angeles County Bar and the San Fernando Valley Bar Association both have those. They have it in Orange County too, attorney service programs. I think there's one with like Cal Art something that has like a attorney service or something.
Could you post that question on LACN? I forget if you can, if they do something like that, or if it's like you just have to post jobs and events. Or...
Yeah, so LA, good question. So on LACN, you can definitely send out. You can't send out questions. Nobody responds to questions. I've never seen anyone send out a question because I think they have someone who monitors what goes out. So I think what I've seen come out is always like information for artists, like events or things like that. I never see someone posing questions. I have seen people say like, I'm looking for a space or something like that. And then, they're looking for something specific. But I mean, you could try it. You could potentially try it. I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? All someone do is going to not send it out. What's it to you? Yeah, you might as well. You can go on and make a post and say, nonprofit founder looking, social organization, put your website looking for great events, and maybe you'll get some people who respond to you from there. And also on the LA Producer Group too. Now the LA Producer Group is an emailing group, so they post questions and stuff like that all the time. So that's another place. Even though it's for producers, you can still post something like that. Just kind of frame it in the idea of like film media-ish, and you'll get somebody, I'm sure, that will respond.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments, concerns, anything we didn't cover? Yes.
When you emailed the person to get your first investor, you said to keep it short and sweet. Did you send like a picture of yourself?
No pictures. Yeah, no pictures. Just a simple hi. This is what I'm doing, this is where I graduated from, whatever your connection line is going to be to them.
Because you should read about them too and then try to...
Yeah, and just say, just kind of incorporate, hey, I know you love dogs and I'm making a movie about dogs. So see link here, whatever. And just kind of go in. And, because originally, I think when I was asking people, I never just like straight up sent anyone asking them for money, like straight off, but just kind of building their relationship with them with small questions and then kind of leading up to it. You know what I mean? And then it just pretty much happened. And then, telling people what you're doing. The other checks that I got for the film, we're talking to someone like my best friend, she's like, oh, let me introduce you to this attorney. And then that attorney was like, oh, I know someone who's interested in they're trying to invest in a film right now. We had a phone call with them, and they were like, I'm in. And they saw the little 5-page thing I showed you guys. They saw that, and that was it. And you saw that. It wasn't anything like so amazing. They just knew it was a contact of a contact they trusted that went to the same school as them. So, and they were willing to do it. Because investors are trying to find the next big thing. They're willing to do it. They just want to know, are you legit? Are you serious? And stuff. I just think the biggest thing for you, though, for you, for me, is just getting stuff done. And so I think if you can get a quick documentary done, if you feel like a feature is too long, go ahead and try the web series and short films. But I really just recommend everybody just do a feature documentary, or a feature, film if you can. Because we actually had a feature film. Do you remember in the Hollywood and Vine Film Festival? I can't remember if it won. It definitely won an award. They spent $500 on this feature film. $500, and it looked good. It was black and white. I don't know if you remember it. But it was good. It was a good movie, and I was like, wow, you spent $500 on this? Are you serious? Wow. So, and the guy was a director, so he had some equipment, so he didn't just do it like, it's harder for some of us because I'm not a director, so I didn't have any equipment, film, I don't have any knowledge. You see, I'm asking how to move the screen to the, I went to school for engineering, but still, film is a whole different thing. So anyway, any other questions? And I'll kind of hang around if you have any other specific things, but thank you guys. Thanks.